everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of That 90s Spider-Man show, where we do anything a spider can. Tune in next week to see me eat some bugs and shoot some web shooters out of my ass. I'm the host today, I'm Henry, and alongside me, he was in a rejected title for Akon Smack That before the record label stepped in. It's Jack.
Well, Jack that?
Yeah.
Oh god, it's horrible. Just as soon as you think about it for like half a second,
I'm disgusting.
all on the floor.
Give me some more.
Ugh. Yeah, they they just replaced it with any other word. They were like, Jesus Christ, man. I can't say
Come on,
that
Akon.
shit. Yeah.
That's some sick shit.
Yeah.
No,
Very few people will relate to this.
Akon is a chronic masturbator. That's now something that's canon.
Mm-hmm.
He does it until he gets swarmed. Anyway. Where were we? Podcast. Episode 9. That 90s Spider-Man show. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry about all that. We're talking about episode 9, which is the alien costume part 2. Which I think involves the alien costume, if I'm mistaken, or not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's even more alien this time.
It's at least 20% more costume as well, which is great, really.
How did last week's episode end?
I believe it ends with like Rhino on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Spider-Man has a door and he kind of disappears. He's like, "What's happening to me? I'm becoming evil."
And he looks in his reflection. He gets a flash of that.
Yeah, like the Venom head.
Yeah, he gets all venomy in his face.
Yeah, it's really gross, and it's to be continued. And now it is being continued. So we start with Spider-Man just ignoring all that bullshit from the end of last episode. He's swinging around. He's fucking around.
He fucking loves it again.
He loves that shit. He's like talking so much shit this episode.
Yeah, there's loads of people after him to try and get
$1 million.
Get that $1 million that JJ's put on his head.
Get that bread.
And and he's just beating them off and like. God.
Sorry. Oh god. So yeah, he's beating people off in the street.
Yeah. Well, talking about how skillful and strong he is.
Yeah. Spider-Man gets the best hand jobs in all of New York.
Yeah, and they're not doing so well. Apart from until one of them whips out a sonic blaster and hits him with it, and they seem kind of surprised that was the thing that really does affect him.
It's kind of like a last resort. They're kind of like, fuck it, what else? We've tried everything else.
Yeah.
And they just go for it, and wouldn't you know?
Yeah, it's like John Wick's last weapon when he's shot someone with like 10,000 bullets, and he's like, fuck, what? I run out of ammo and everything, and he just whips out a sonic blaster. Yeah. Well, I guess John Wick would whip out a knife.
He just throw his empty gun. He's done
that. Yeah, he'll throw the empty gun.
Yeah.
Maybe in John Wick 4 he'll whip out a sonic blaster.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be taken on. I'd watch a John Wick Venom crossover.
I would watch the shit out of that.
That would be amazing. But anyway,
that's like another podcast. It's another like Sony royalties dispute we can claim.
Yeah, and they use the sonic blaster on him, and he kind of freaks out a bit. But the symbiote kind of shoots a strand of the suit, like shoots out of his ass, and pulls him up onto a ledge away from it, and then splits off another part of itself, which hits the gun and like
throws it away. Yeah.
And so he just gets away with that, and then he kind of scares them off by like blowing up a fire hydrant, and it's like, your power packs will explode if you get hit by water.
Yeah.
Which is pretty.
It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
He's ready to kill those people.
Yeah, he's totally fine with that, and then he's kind of like, okay, I'm sick of this shit, so I'm gonna go to the source. I'm gonna go to JJ, who's put this bounty on my head.
Yeah. And
he goes there, and then Eddie Brock is there, who of course is now being part of this whole thing, claiming that Spider-Man was the one to steal the Prometheum X last episode. And he kind of lays into him, says like, I know you're lying, because there was a guy in a rhino costume there as well. He was the one who stole it. JJ's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you'd said a man dressed as a scorpion, that would have been fine. But instead, no, it was a rhino person. He doesn't believe it. And he calls security, and Spider-Man just like fucking like leaves anyway.
He threw a table at some people.
Oh yeah, he's throwing a lot of tables around in this episode.
It's getting very like aggy.
Yeah, but like in a way that he doesn't seem to, because it's still like, I guess, a kid's show. He's not actually going to really hurt anyone, so he's like really angrily throwing desks.
Yeah, he's like, God damn it, I hate IKEA, and like he's like just destroying an IKEA like nearby. He's not allowed back in IKEAs now.
And then we go over to Kingpin and Smythe, which great sitcom idea.
It's like an odd couple kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
One's a homicidal maniac, the other one's legs don't work. It's Kingpin and the Spider Slayer.
Kingpin and Smythe, like, oh, God damn it, Smythe again.
Yeah, and yeah, they're trying to get rich. Like, if it hasn't been a sitcom already, it should be a sitcom.
I mean, that's what they are. Because especially last few episodes, Spider-Man hasn't had any sort of interaction with them. They're just like being behind the scenes of these various things, and he hasn't been to their headquarters, so he doesn't know where they're operating out of or anything. In fact, has he even met Kingpin yet?
I don't think he has. No,
so he doesn't even know. But they're doing their pinky in the brain shit.
Yeah.
Shit, that's exactly what they are.
It's such what it is. And like Kingpin's definitely the brain. Like.
They're demonstrating the power of the Prometheum X that they've stolen to these buyers.
They're not like bikers for some reason.
Yeah, they're really. I don't know. They don't really explain who they are. Really,
yeah.
They're just there. They're just evil people. I guess they're selling what is named as like the most powerful element in the entire world to the biker gang from Howard the Duck.
I was gonna say the biker gang from episode 7 of Stranger Things.
I don't remember that. Wait, is that season 2?
Season 2.
No, I haven't seen season 2.
Oh shit, that's probably why. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
They have like a similar biker gang who show up for one episode for no reason.
They apply like heat to like a microgram of it, and it
blows
a
the fuck
huge
up. Yeah.
explosion. They're like, okay, this is pretty damn impressive. Meanwhile, Spider-Man's heading to Empire State University, where he's talking to Kurt Connors, who like kind of freaks out because he's like, "Well, you're a criminal, and all this stuff." Although, again, like as Spider-Man points out, like, I saved your life.
Yeah.
Like, do you really think I'm that bad a guy? Although, I guess he's also coming in like in a new costume and really aggressive all the time.
But like once he explains himself, he's like, "Okay, that's fair enough," and he gets to work.
Yeah, well, he pulls off part of his costume for him to analyze.
Kind of self-preserves itself. So he tries to get a pair of scissors to it, and it just immediately starts to crawl up his arm, get away from like the scissors. He has to like hold it out so he can cut a piece off.
And when he puts it under the microscope, that's when you get the reveal that it's alive. It's not alive. Just a intuitive costume. I don't really know what Spider-Man thought it was, but it's not just a high-tech thing. It's actually something that's sentient. He describes it as an organism that bonds with its host and replicates and mutates DNA to like improve on the host.
Okay.
Which is a good explanation for why
he's better.
Yeah, why he would have improved versions of his spider powers and why it even stuff like that huge spider on its chest is kind of like just an amped up version of the suit which it first clung to, which is quite cool. And then he's like, "Oh, because this thing's sentient, you should just take it off straight away." And Spider-Man's like, "Yeah, good idea, but I actually need it right now, so I'm gonna
do some cool shit with it first."
So he just heads out again. Meanwhile, at the hospital, JJ is with his son, who's still hospitalized following the crash last episode.
Yeah.
And he starts mumbling again, but this time he's like, mumble, mumble, man in rhino suit, mumble, mumble.
And he immediately passes out again.
Yeah. And JJ's like, he's
God
like,
damn it.
The element is gone. The man in a rhino costume. Oh.
And this is the moment, if this was the comics, or at least those early Stan Lee comics, this is the moment where Jonah would go, keeping that to myself and just not doing anything because he's a piece of shit.
He hates Spider-Man so much.
In this show, he immediately hard cut to him with Brock at the Daily Bugle and it's like, you lied to me?
What the fuck? Yeah.
There was a rhino guy. Probably also pissed because that's, as we pointed out last time, that's kind of a scoop in itself, having a guy in a rhino costume no one's seen before.
Steal this really, really rare like rock from space.
But you can also kind of understand in a sleazy way why Eddie did it, because he, as he points out, it's like, oh, well, we both hate Spider-Man and want to get rid of him, and I thought this is what you'd want.
Yeah.
And obviously glossing over the point where JJ has some journalistic integrity.
That's the fourth never spoken before Jay. There's jingoism, there's justice, there's Jamiroquai, and there's journalistic integrity.
Yeah, exactly. So he gets fired again.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, this is the third time we've seen him get fired?
Yeah. It's a third time, and it's like the second longest time, having been for one day.
Still not as quick as when he got fired in The Revenge of the Spider Slayers or Return or whatever that episode was called.
One or the other.
Talking of J3/J4, Jameson then appears on J3 TV.
Yeah.
Where he publicly admits that Spider-Man isn't to blame, that further investigation is required. He withdraws the reward he's put out on him, and also announces that it was Brock who tricked him, and which obviously like fucks Brock over majorly.
It ruins his career pretty much.
And Kingpin's watching this. This is a thing. There's something really funny to me about the fact that Kingpin and Smythe hang around watching TV together. Because they were doing the last episode, they were just watching the news together.
Hey man, let's.
Because they could fucking hate each other, but they've got nothing else to do, no one else to hang out with.
Yeah.
They've got no personal life.
They're like roommates who just work all the time. They haven't got time to actually hang out.
But they're workmates and roommates. You just don't get away from it.
No. Like Kingpin avoids Alistair Smythe in the kitchen and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, it's just think about the shower situation.
Oh my god, yeah, like trying to get like ready in the morning. But
I mean, they both probably take lots of bathroom time because Smythe's got to find a way to get his gigantic hover chair into the bathroom,
which is like the whole thing itself.
And Kingpin is like the size of 10 hover chairs.
He's definitely clogged that toilet at least 2 or 3 times a week. You gotta have like some super plumber just to come in to be like, oh fucking hell, Kingpin clogged the toilet again because he had like 5 burritos for lunch.
Yeah. So that's when Smythe calls the supervillain equivalent of a plumber. Which is,
plumber.
And he says, okay, well, they're a bit worried that Eddie Brock is gonna, because he took photos on the scene, that now that it's revealed that it's not Spider-Man, they're like, okay, well, he might actually have some stuff on us and might show that somehow we're involved, that Rhino's involved. So they're like, okay, let's send someone after Brock to like get those photos.
Yeah.
And Smythe goes, well, I've got the right device and the right man to use them, which is an interesting way to put it.
Yeah.
Next scene we see Brock, who's doing his fucking
woe is me kind of
thing. His 100th walk of shame through the streets. Where he's going, okay, well, Spider-Man's, to blame for the loss of my job, the loss of my reputation. I think he says something about the loss of his health as well.
He's also like coughing. He's like, oh shit, man, I'm sick now because of Spider-Man.
And then he gets to his apartment and he's been evicted as well.
He's having a real moe day.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just at this point then outside his apartment complex, he's approached by a guy in a trench coat who sort of attacks him and announces himself as being, or at least being known by the name, the Shocker.
That's why they call him the Shocker. According to the guy who got this costume 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think it's a really weird, unnecessary detail to, because like think with Rhino, they were like, oh, I know a guy, let's get Rhino in, and then it cut to Rhino. Rhino's the Rhino. Yeah. He does his Rhino shit. Whereas here it's like, okay, I have some devices to give to a guy
that I know.
So it's just like an extra detail, like, oh, so Smythe created those devices and he just gave them to some guy.
He's got a couple of guys on like contract. This is a whole gig economy thing going on again, where like Rhino's busy. He's got like another like job, so he has to get like a second guy on the contract.
Yeah, but then again, why don't they just like, there's a guy called the Shocker that's hiring, rather than like, oh, I got a guy and I can give him these gauntlets to that, which would be especially good at.
Yeah.
Why don't we get a guy with a gun to kill Eddie Brock? He's not like a superhuman guy. Just shoot him.
Yeah. Like, it's just like his friend Randy, who's an electrician. He's like, oh, this guy needs some work.
Well, he's the plumber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this guy's been like sorting our toilet situation out for so long, and we got to give him a break.
He needs something because like he's been overworked.
Meanwhile, Rhino sat in his empty apartment in New Jersey, just staring at the phone. Yeah, just waiting for the call.
He's like kind of squinting because he hasn't got the lights because he can't afford electricity. He's just kind of sitting like by the phone in the darkness. When are they gonna call? I turned down so many Ubers for this.
Yeah, and the Shocker reveals himself, and interesting thing to note about the Shocker that I just found out when I was looking at something afterwards is that he's voiced by Jim Cummings.
Oh, the guy who's Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. It's a weird choice, because I was like, I recognised the name, and I was like, what did Jim Cummings do again? And then look up, and it's like, he did like Tigger and Winnie the Pooh. It's crazy.
This episode is way better if like Tigger is the one who like gets Eddie Brock, and the Spider-Man has to fight Tigger in some kind of weird like Winnie the Pooh Spider-Man crossover.
I want to hear if you can do a Tigger voice.
I'm not even gonna try.
Winnie the Pooh.
I can't do them off the top of my head.
What? It didn't stop you before.
No, I don't recognize. I don't remember the voice too well. Like maybe if I'd watched Winnie the Pooh beforehand.
Yeah, we should have done that.
Yeah.
Research.
Should have been prepared for this.
Meanwhile, Spider-Man is breaking into Eddie Brock's apartment upstairs and is like searching around for those photos.
I love how like, the first place he looks is the kitchen. He's like, maybe it's one of these plates, and it's like, no, Spider-Man, it wouldn't be that.
Well, saying that, like he looks in the shower, which seems like the worst place to look, but it's in the shower head, which is so. I guess it was good to look in the weird spots.
Yeah,
because
you
wouldn't
expect. Does this mean that like Eddie Brock doesn't bathe?
Yeah, but I don't know how. Is there a part of the shower head where where water wouldn't go through.
Like, it's like right by the shower head, so I guess it goes through the shower head, right? Like,
I don't know if there's some compartment or something. I'd assume that he would shower.
Yeah. Unless, like, it kind of has water, like, 2 months ago, he kind of...
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
He was like, well, might as well hire it in here. I've got no running water here anyway. I'm using a bucket.
Not too hygienic, Eddie, but clever.
Spider-Man overhears some shit going down outside, so he goes in to intervene and sort of attacks Shocker and rips off his trench coat, which reveals his full attire, which it's kind of hard to explain. It's like yellow and brown, but mostly yellow, and it's checkered and padded.
He looks like a really weird wrestler.
Yeah, I actually think the Shocker's costume's really good. I really like it. It's weird.
It's
but
weird
I don't think
as
it's,
hell.
But I don't think it's weird. It's not like the classic Electro costume, which kind of looks dumb as fuck.
It looks so stupid.
Yeah, and I like that costume, but I'm aware that they would never do that live action because it looks dumb.
Yeah.
But this costume, I'm like, it kind of looks cool. Like, no, I mean, it suits him as a character. As like, you wouldn't put the most formidable guy in that, but it's kind of like a distinctive look.
Yeah, he needs something going on. What's going on the top of it? Like, it's got like a weird like crew haircut at the top.
Yeah,
which is built into the costume.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. I think that's just because maybe I think it would have been Romita who first drew John Romita who first drew him, and maybe he was just like he drew him with just a yellow head, and then was like, that looks dumb, and then just put some brown on it and was like, that looks better. I don't know.
I'm going to question it. Like,
I think a lot of that stuff isn't really about functionality, the way they're drawing it. They're like, what sort of colours work together, whatever. Yeah. Which again, yellow and brown, you wouldn't think, but
no.
There you go.
Yeah, there's like some weird like cod piece to go with it, so it's like a bit more like a variation. It's very like. Do you think Smythe had the whole costume like on hand, or he had it just ready to go anyway? Like, I'm waiting for use of this costume.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're never going to go into that again. Shocker's just going to be Shocker. I think they throw off the entire. It makes so much sense if Shocker is his own guy, and you assume he did that all himself, rather than just Smythe going, "Oh yeah, I'll just give this shit to some guy." Yeah, it's such a weird.
It's a weird thing. Like, they didn't, like, it opened so many questions for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah. Anyway, he has these gauntlets and he fires these like
shockwaves, effectively.
Yeah, and these like blasts at Spider-Man, who kind of pretty easily dodges them, but he blows up like a building behind him and he gets covered in rubble.
Yeah.
And where he just like stands over him, hands on hips, and bursts out. Just like,
rest in pieces, wall crawler.
Meanwhile, I think Brock's just run away, right?
Yeah, he's like, get the fuck out of there.
So Shocker heads back to Smythe.
Just walks back.
Yeah, and has to be like, I did nothing. Whereas Spider-Man actually breaks out of the rubble. And,
like, pretty much instantly.
Yeah, and presumably, like, I don't know, Shocker got an Uber straight back.
Yeah, because, like, Spider-Man's like, I'll follow you, I'll get you. Like, you think you're done with him, but you're not. And he's, like, right behind him. Shocker's like, that's probably just my imagination.
Then he follows Shocker back to the base.
Yeah.
Where Shocker and Smythe are meeting. Which presumably, at first I thought was, like, their main base, but I'm assuming it's not.
Yeah.
Because he just breaks into it through
a random, like, just a block of flats, effectively.
And he breaks in... he webs Smythe up and like starts spinning him around, which again is like a recurring thing he's doing to people.
Yeah, just like going with the whole like spinning thing.
Shocker sort of hits him with one of his blasts, but Spider-Man just kind of ends up with the Promethean mechs and is like, "Whoop, see you guys later," and fucking runs away with it. Which is again like it's interesting to see him in that context because with the black suit, he's not acting himself, so he can do stuff like that. I feel like Spider-Man would want to stop them.
Yeah.
And wouldn't think about just doing something actually more efficient maybe, but also more cowardly and shitty, which is just take their shit and run away. And he doesn't return it to like the authorities or anything. He takes it to his aunt's house.
And just like start fucking around with it.
Yeah, and just starts looking at under the microscope.
Full costume.
He analyzes this element, right? And he finds out what they know about it, that it's like he activated and will be really dangerous. But then he also finds out something else about it, which we don't really hear about until later.
It's like delivered via like the most ugly like 90s graphics I've seen.
Oh yeah, fuck, I forgot to say, like he zooms in, like the way the microscope works, and it's just like flying through atoms.
Yeah.
That CGI flying at your face, like 3D.
Yeah. It's like Ant-Man and the Wasp like graphics, but back in the 90s kind of.
Yeah, directed by James Cameron. And then Smythe and Shocker going back to Kingpin just to say, oh, we fucked up. We lost all our shit. We didn't get Brock.
The future.
Yeah. So then they sent Shocker to kidnap John Jameson. This is a really like elaborate thing, but and I don't know why I don't really understand this plan, but they go and they kidnap John Jameson, and then they get Jameson to go on J3 TV.
Yeah.
Where he then sort of makes a call out for Spider-Man to like meet him privately.
Yeah.
You know, Peter hears this news and says, oh, okay, I'm going to do this for John, I'm not doing this for JJ, that piece of shit. He heads out to meet him. He kind of explains everything to him, and then they drive to their like sort of rendezvous point, which is at this old church.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Eddie Brock is tailing Jameson like, oh, I knew that you guys were doing shit together, or whatever he's thinking.
Yeah, like, I don't understand like his motivation here.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like, someone tried to kill him, he's got nowhere to live, and he's just like, I guess I'll just drive around at night and be a weirdo.
This is my home now, this car that I live in.
When they go in, and Smythe just like wheels in like from the side, or not wheels, hovers in from behind a pillar out of nowhere.
It's like, surprise! He's like, you told us to meet here.
And then he's like, okay, give me the Prometheum X and I'll give you John Jameson back. And they're like, okay, we need to see John Jameson. And then he just like hovers away again, and somehow John Jameson was just behind him.
Do you reckon
it's like a magic trick?
Yeah. It's so unnecessary. Do you think like John was like tied to his back when he came out?
Yeah, maybe. I'm not really sure.
Let me untie this real quick and ta-da!
Yeah, he just like had a I don't know, he had like a little ramp on the back that he just like pushes him off the ramp because he's strapped into this wheelchair. And he just like pushes him off and then like goes back just for the, I don't know, it's a bit elaborate.
He's gonna play with David Blaine in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, so then Spider-Man's like, okay, fine, here's the Prometheum X. Jameson leaves with John. Shocker pops out and he's like, oh shit, you motherfuckers double crossed me.
And this really pisses him off.
Yeah, he gets pretty mad, and while Smythe just like legs it, Shocker just starts like fighting Spider-Man, and they start fighting and destroying all these potentially like ancient artifacts that are like in this museum / church place.
Whatever they are, they're gone forever.
Yeah, and Brock is here too, and is like sort of enjoying seeing Spider-Man potentially getting beaten up, although he seems like he's handling himself. Yeah, but then he sort of like spots like one of the things that are being broken out as a flail.
Yeah.
And he like grabs it to go attack them, and he runs up to attack Spider-Man, but then immediately is like, I don't know, his way of approaching them, he just like runs up to them, and Shocker kind of sees him, and it just does not work whatsoever. And he's sort of hit away, and Shocker and Spider-Man continue to fight, but then Shocker kind of realizes he's on a losing side and starts legging it.
He just runs the fuck out. He's like, I'm done.
Because Spider-Man starts going a bit nutty, and that's when we get to like the best fucking voice acting ever.
Whoever's like Spider-Man here is earning their fucking pay.
It's like Christopher Barnes, I think it's the guy. He's done like he did all the Spider-Man stuff in this, but then he also did like, I think he's done a load of video game stuff for Spider-Man as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's in this, and he gives this amazing line which we'll just like add in here.
Get back here, Shocker! Shocker! You can't escape me! I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
It's such a good line reading of him just like threatening Shocker and chasing after him. Shocker's running up the stairs to the top of this bell tower, like fucking scared for his life. It's just like fucking maniac is after him.
It's like screaming his name.
He's so like aggressive and angry at this point that he's speaking to Shocker as if like Shocker had killed his Uncle Ben.
Yeah, he met him like 6 hours ago.
Yeah, and he's just like a pretty standard guy. He hasn't actually done anything that bad to him.
He's like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna tear you limb from limb. It's like, Jesus. Because like Shocker's making all these like really lame like shock puns, and Spider-Man's like, I want to kill you slowly.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like compared to like Rhino, who was more so like, okay, I'm gonna take you down. It's actually being more threatening to him. Shocker's just like, don't mean to shock you, and then hitting him with a blast and then missing. He's way more of a lower threat, but Spider-Man still wants to fucking murder him.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking kill you, you piece of shit. Which is great. I really enjoy it because it's very like unnecessary.
He chases him to the top of the building, and Brock follows him again.
because he doesn't know when to quit this.
Yeah, I don't know what he thinks is going on. I guess he's got nothing to lose at this point, right?
If he dies, it'd be like a mercy to him. Like,
yeah, he just like, give me the sweet release. Yeah,
let's get back to his like car and sleep in the back seat. Otherwise,
yeah, it's a cold night. But then they start fighting at the top of the bell tower, at which point like Brock comes out and like tackles them both. Of course, Spider-Man just overpowers him, webs him up, hangs him from the beneath the bell.
Yeah,
it starts getting really creepy because he's like hung him up like a spider would like hang up his brains. Like, oh, I'll have you for dessert, but the main course is Shocker, and he smashes up Shocker's gauntlets.
Yeah.
And then starts holding him over the edge, like threatening to kill him, which is kind of another. It's like kind of similar to the Rhino thing last episode, where he doesn't believe that he would kill him, but then he gets so threatening, he's like,
I give up.
Oh fuck! Like, actually, this guy might just murder me.
Yeah.
He starts saying that he has the power,
which kind of triggers like a flashback,
and he gets the great power, great responsibility line in his head, and thinks of Uncle Ben. He goes, okay, I'm not gonna push him off, and he lets off, but then the suit sort of springs out and pushes Shocker off anyway.
Yeah. So Spider-Man has to like save him.
Yeah, so he catches him with his webs and like ties him up, and then he's realizing, okay, this suit is actually like, it's trying to push me to do these horrible things, and when I don't do it, it's just doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So I need to get this shit off right now. Luckily for him, the bell starts ringing, and it starts like hurting the suit, and he realizes, this is like the sonic blaster earlier in the episode. Like, it's sensitive to sound. I think he also says something like, was the suit blocking out that memory from me so that I wouldn't realize its weakness? Which is an interesting idea.
Because otherwise it seems kind of stupid otherwise.
Yeah, and like, the suit starts to like come off him in pain and draws away and sort of attacks him again, knocking him off the edge, so he's clinging onto the edge of the building. Worth mentioning as well, he's not like in his Spider-Man suit underneath it or anything. He's just in his underwear and his boxers.
Yeah.
As Peter Parker, so now he's hanging off the edge. But then he sees the sound seems to defeat the symbiote, and it kind of trickles away.
Like through a crack in the ground.
Yeah, so and he's like, well, that's the end of that chapter. And just like jumps down, just runs away into the night in his boxers. And
Shocker's still hung up there like, what the fuck? Why is this like...
Yeah.
So he just fucks off. He's like, I'll deal with your fucking...
Yeah, what did he think happened? He was like, did Spider-Man just threaten to kill me, decide not to, take off all his clothes, and then run away into the night?
Spider-Man's on some shit, man. So yeah, like, in his like haste to get home, completely nude, like, Spider-Man just forgets one crucial thing, and that is Eddie Brock.
But first, we go back to Smythe returns with the Prometheum X to Kingpin, and he's like, okay, let's sell this shit now. But those guys are like, no, we want it tested again, which I don't really know why, because they just had it tested, and they're like, no, we want it tested a second time. He tests it, nothing happens, and he realizes it's like transmutated into lead.
Yeah.
And he's like, the radioactive half-life must be like a day or something. And then they go like, okay, well this must be what Spider-Man knew, and that's why he let us have it back, and that's why he kept it away from us. And of course Smythe is like rubbing it in, like, well, if you let me study it, then we wouldn't be in this situation.
Yeah.
I'd already know this. And they're pretty pissed at Spider-Man now for fucking them over, because they probably could have sold it and then like
made money
and then just nothing would have happened. So now they just got like a big chunk of lead.
Yeah. Oh, that Kingpin and that Smythe.
Yeah.
Tune in next week to see if they make money next week. Special guest Shocker. It's like the Kramer of like the sitcom universe.
Yeah, the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme plays as they look at this block of lead.
This Prometheum X is almost completely transmuted into lead. How could that have happened? It appears to be the nature of Prometheum X. Its radioactive half-life must be only days.
Boom, boom. Yeah, so that's they're pissed at Spider-Man is the takeaway.
No, I think you should do the the full thing. No. You did the boom, 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 and then you just stopped.
I thought better of it. I was like,
I don't know how you do the next bit with your mouth, which is why I want to see you try.
Maybe for like a special episode, but not this one.
Back at the bell tower, we see where the symbiote went, and where Eddie's been left still just hung upside down. And it's unclear whether this is immediately after or if some time's passed, but the symbiote trickles down, goes down over Eddie, and who we see in silhouette break out of the web, grow to a much bigger size. his voice changes into like that
A weird like double voice.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just smashes through a wall and vows revenge on Spider-Man.
Like, he could have used the door.
Yeah, but like, people been shitting on you, like, you've had such a terrible time, you think you're at your worst moment, and then you get loads of superpowers all at once. You're fucking like knocking down a wall.
I guess. Like,
would you imagine him like? Would you prefer it if like after all he's like, I will take revenge on Spider-Man, and then just like, and just like walks out through the door, like squeezing through because he's like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, he's like, maybe that's what we don't see is him like trying to get through the door, and we're like, fuck, I'm just get stuck.
Yeah.
So he has to break through a wall because he's trapped otherwise.
Well, that's the thing is, I think we've come to the end of Eddie Brock being like a wimp who has bad stuff happen to him.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be in full-on troll mode for 5 seasons or whatever.
Doesn't have a home, but like at least he has.
He doesn't need a home anymore. He can just go to sleep in the symbiote.
Yeah.
The symbiote can just make a little house for him.
Just like you walk down like Central Street in New York, and he's just like sleeping, standing up.
Yeah, probably. Right, what the fuck is anyone going to do to him?
Someone gives him like $1.
Spider-Man, enjoy your fame while it lasts.
Anyway, that's the end of part 2 of 3.
Yes.
So, what do you think of this one?
So like the drama in this one, I don't think is as strong as in the first one, for sure. But I think that kind of makes up with it with like just the general shittiness of the Shocker.
Yeah.
He sucks. Not even like an entertaining way. He's just kind of like there, like Randy the plumber, way above his pay grade.
I like him being part of this like villain gig economy going on. You know, like he's a freelancer out there, and like I know Rhino's busy doing some shit. We'll just get fucking Shocker in. It's only Eddie Brock.
He's like his rates are too high. They need like a lower rate.
Yeah, I mean they're just killing Eddie Brock. They didn't think he was going to fight Spider-Man. I guess.
But if they knew Spider-Man was going to show up, they'd be like, Rhino, get back here. And Rhino will charge them like surge pricing for it.
Yeah, just give the Rhino a fucking Tommy gun. So you can run at him really fast and shoot him.
Yeah. He runs into his own bullets though because he's so fast.
Yeah, he's too fast.
Yeah.
That's the other thing though. There's so much about like Rhino being really strong and smashing through walls and stuff, but it doesn't mean necessarily that he's really fast. He's a huge guy, right? So wouldn't he be like really slow?
He'd like take a while to pick up speed, I guess. But if you put him in like a straight line and run, he'd be really fast by the end of it.
Just sidestep it.
Yeah.
He's like that ship in Prometheus falling. Just
you
step
run
to the side, you're fine.
We kind of run straight in a straight line, but yeah, no, like
yeah, Charlize Theron would not do well against the Rhino.
the other villains maybe like she probably beat Shocker. Not gonna lie, just as Charlize Theron, not even as an a character, just as the actress.
One of the interesting things that I found when I looked this up is I mean not that it's that this kind of thing is going to be definitive or anything, but like this in terms of like internet reviews and stuff, this episode's ranked quite high.
Oh yeah.
In fact, Comic Book Resources ranked it as the 3rd best episode of the season, and I don't think it's even the 3rd best episode of what we've seen so far.
No, I feel
we've only seen 9 episodes.
Yeah.
It's good, but again, I really like the use of Shocker and the whole "I'll chase you to the ends of the earth, Shocker."
Yeah.
I love that. But the rest of the episode is, I don't know, this was like some Game of Thrones season 8 pacing, you know? It was just so speedy, and they were just cutting, like, Jonah would find out, oh no, the Rhino Man does exist. Hard cut to him talking to Eddie Brock. He fires him in 10 seconds. Hard cut to Kingpin responding to the fact that he's fired him. It was such a breakneck pace, whereas the last one was really well paced as a mystery, and this is developing it. Maybe it would have been better as like a 4-parter or something.
Maybe because the way the episode's put together, you kind of think it kind of happens all in one night.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, really.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then like, goddamn, like, but I hope that's the case anyway, because it makes it more fun to like think about. Like Spider-Man met this guy, and then he's like 6 hours later, he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you."
Yeah, and that means that Half-Life of Prometheus Max actually was like 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
And another thing with this episode I read is, which I didn't really think about until now, but I feel like I should have known this before, but the whole thing of the symbiote making someone aggressive and changing their mood and everything seems to like is kind of credited from this series.
Yeah.
Rather than the comics or anything, because the comics was more about the symbiote trying to control things and being its own sentient being that wanted what it wanted.
Yeah.
But then the stuff of like him becoming angry in his personal life and more aggressive to his enemies and that kind of stuff seems to have come from this and then carried on to things like Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I guess like it doesn't make him like go down the street like dancing or anything like that, or like learn jazz. But
no,
I mean, like maybe that's next episode.
Yeah, we never know. Maybe he gets the costume again.
Yeah, and has an extended.
Venom is defeated in 30 seconds. He gets the costume back and dances for 19 minutes.
Yeah.
In terms of the episode, I'm kind of disappointed. I think it's good, but it's just again, it's like a few good moments. It's very much in a rush to get to the Venom part of the episode.
It felt a little bit like filler apart from that.
Yeah, there's not really anything memorable, which is why I find it quite weird that people... I even saw like one review thing saying about it being standing alone as a great standalone episode, and I don't really...
No, not really. Like, there's no Peter Parker in it whatsoever. There's like a very brief part where he's up by the TV, but it's pretty much all Spider-Man. Yeah,
I guess it's cool seeing him do stuff in the suit. There's a hell of a lot of him just swinging around fighting people in this one.
Like action-wise.
Yeah.
But similar to Game of Thrones Season 8, like, that doesn't really account for much characters in that at all.
Yeah, and they're very much in a rush to get Eddie to the point we know he's going to get to. And I guess...
Have his little Daenerys moment.
It just made me excited for the next one still, because I'm like, I actually want to see Venom, which is not a feeling I've had a lot lately. Yeah. Of like wanting to see that character, but...
God, no one's excited to see Venom. Like recently, like, oh my god, it's Venom. They're like, oh shit, it's Venom.
I don't know. I think there's like a good like 300 million people that really wanted to see Venom.
Oh fuck yeah!
Across the world, you know.
Isn't that sad? But yeah, I guess it'll come all the way through the next episode where like Venom will be like pretty much front and center, right? Yeah, assuming they have like more like Smythe stuff along.
Yeah, I did think that because this was the Alien costume part 1, 2, 3. I did kind of think that maybe by the end of the third one, the costume would leave him, and that would be the end of that.
Yeah.
And then maybe we get a tease of Venom
at the end, like season 2.
Yeah, or even just like at the end of season 1 or something. I didn't think that it would be like, okay, part 3 of 3 is where Venom comes in, presumably, because there's nothing else they can really do with this other than Venom now.
No. Apart from like extended dance scene, but that's probably not going to be the whole episode.
Yeah, and there's no reason for him to dance anymore. He's just got his regular clothes. He's just in his underwear.
Yeah, just like underwear.
Oh, and maybe we just got... That would be... I watched 20 minutes of Peter Parker has to get home and he's in his underwear. How does he do it?
Miles from home. He has nice web shooters. He's just running. Gets arrested.
Funny enough, that actually kind of comes up in the comics a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll tell you what. We're going to do some comic book origin stuff, as per usual. What do you want first? Do you want Shocker first, or do you want some alien costume stuff?
I want some Shocker. Let's get some shocking.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, I never even mentioned in this episode, but Shocker's name is Herman Schultz.
Oh, that's fucking lame.
Old Herman.
Old Hermie.
He first comes into play in The Amazing Spider-Man 46 in 1967. At the start of this issue, like, Spider-Man's got an injured arm from a previous battle. He's got it in this kind of sling, so he can still kind of fight, but just with like one arm, basically. But right at the start of this issue, like immediately, he's just on this building, and it just starts to collapse. He goes inside to see what's going on, and Shock is there. It's like, first page Shock is there.
Right
and he's robbing a safe, and he sort of starts attacking him, firing those like shockwave things at him, but also doing like vibro shock punches at him. So he's like using his ability and punching him at the same time. And he ends up stunning Spider-Man like immediately. Also, they don't do this in the show because I don't know. I think it would be a weird thing to animate, but one of the reasons why he's not so easy to fight in the comics is that he can activate vibrations in his suit that are, like, deflect blows slightly. So when Spider-Man gives a full-on punch, it's not actually, the full weight of it's not actually landing.
Okay.
And and he fights Spider-Man. He kicks his ass.
Oh shit! Really?
He gives him he finishes him up with a twin punch. Well, what he calls a twin punch with the combined force of both my vibro smashes, which is what he calls his like gauntlet things.
So a twin punch power of like 2 punches.
Yeah, but with vibro.
Oh shit!
Vibro smashes. I mean, it's not... Do you call your fists vibro smashers?
I might start.
Yeah. Get more dates on Tinder.
I think get less.
So he knocks him down, and then he blows up the wall and runs away, and he gets away.
Goes on his Tinder date.
That's the thing. Shock is actually like way more formidable in this than he is. I think he's got a reputation in general pop culture and in the shows as just being like a shitty henchman who the kind of guy you beat in like the first level of a Spider-Man game.
You make like shock puns, the same 3 shock puns you can make.
Yeah, but he's actually like a decent foe in this. I think there's other foes that we think of as more formidable that he will actually beat easier. Back at his hideout, Shocker thinks to himself, as well as like robbing banks and that kind of stuff, he's also like, now that I actually took on Spider-Man, I want to prove that I can actually take him down, that I'm more powerful than him. Yeah. So he's thinking, I'm going to go after Spider-Man 2 and kick his ass again. And that's when he reminisces about his origin. There's so many of these, isn't there? Like
just like flashbacks.
Just like whenever a villain is alone, they just go, I'm just going to think back to how I got here.
Yeah.
But you're wondering how I got here. Huh?
Yeah. Just stop, freeze frame.
Yeah.
Well, that's me. Guess you're wondering how I got here.
That's me, the Shocker. It turns out Herman was a safe cracker. And, sorry, I didn't make myself laugh. Like, the 2 different interpretations of safe and cracker.
He's a safe cracker, but he's also a safe cracker.
Yeah.
He lives in a very black neighborhood, and they all very much respect him. Hey, look, it's a safe cracker, man. How you doing, man?
And he's like, maybe I should rob a bank. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell me. Yeah, he gets arrested.
Oh, yeah.
He was known for being a good safecracker, but he just got rumbled by the police and sent to prison, where he spent months in the prison workshop. Which again, this is also the place where like fucking like Vulture makes his wings and stuff. Like all these villains are just making their weapons in the prison workshop, so they really need to look over these guys a bit.
Their security is probably a bit lax.
Yeah, so he makes like this technology that creates these intense vibrations, and that's what these things are, like
the giant vibrators.
Yeah, basically it's a beam of vibration.
He'd do really, really well in Tinder, wouldn't he?
I mean, he could also just like make this stuff way less powerful, and make sex toys. So why not? You could still call it the Shocker, but just make it so
way better name,
because it's like a beam as well. If you had a beam, there's someone out there is gonna like, oh yeah, I'll buy like a laser beam that like
gives people orgasms on command.
Yeah, exactly, and
way more money than you would doing crimes.
Yeah, he just needs to find a way to make it way less powerful, because you don't want to send someone like flying through a wall or anything.
Like explode someone's like genitals.
Yeah, that's not a good idea. But he tests this this vibrator he makes out in prison, and he threw a weird squeak sound.
I didn't know what that was. I'm gonna go with it.
He uses it on the wall just to destroy a wall so he can run away. And in the process of it, he almost knocks himself out because it's so powerful.
It's a very powerful orgasm.
Yeah, for this wall. And then he runs away. He gets back to his hideout. He realizes that, for one thing, if he wants to use that technology, he needs to make it smaller. And he also needs to find a way to get rid of the feedback that, like, because he can't every time he uses it be like almost knocked out.
Yeah.
So he makes the gauntlets that he puts on his like his wrists and his fists.
Okay.
And then he also creates a suit, and the suit does have kind of purpose. It does have functionality to it because it's like padded and it's thick, which is it's a foam-lined fabric that's there to absorb the shocks of using it.
Okay.
And then he also has a belt that has like a power pack in it, so he can keep them powered. And that's when he and these what he calls vibro shock units with the knuckle plates. They got like a button on the side, so it's just like a thumb operated thing. He just like presses a button to launch it. Meanwhile, while Shock is like reminiscing on his own in like the sewers somewhere, Spider-Man is his arm's feeling a bit better, so he takes off the sling. He overhears from like a police radio that Shocker is robbing the Federal Reserve Bank, so he heads over there. Then again, a fight which is surprisingly again quite even.
Okay.
Like Spider-Man is one of the better like Ramita fights, I think. Like, it's really well drawn.
Okay.
But in the end, Spider-Man has the bright idea of, wait, he's pressing buttons with his thumbs.
Okay.
So he webs up his thumbs. So he just webs his thumbs back, so he just can't press the buttons.
So
he can't really do anything. And then
so it gives Spider-Man like a permanent thumbs up.
Yeah, exactly. He's giving the 2 thumbs up, but he's really mad about it.
God, they're doing really well.
The dialogue goes, "My thumbs, I can't move them." And Spider-Man goes, "You know it, Dad." At which point he then punches him, knocks him out with one punch, because he can't do that vibro like deflect thing.
No.
And he pulls the gauntlets off, webs them up, leaves for the police, and that's the end of Shocker in that first one.
Oh shit.
But he comes back a few times after that. I think it's more the whole thing of him being an ineffective villain developed over time, because I think they just very quickly ran out of things to do with him.
Yeah.
And no one really did much to develop him as a character.
No.
So he eventually just became a very low tier villain, and then by the time you get to modern day in the comics, he's there as a joke, you know, to be easily beaten.
He's like the kangaroo level villain.
And he has things like there's a series called The Superior Foes of Spider-Man, where it's like a bunch of low tier Spider-Man villains trying to start up their own Sinister Six, but it's a sort of comedic book because they all suck. And this is a really great series, worth reading. But he's become that kind of role now,
Like top of the D list.
yeah. And in fact, it's he's kind of hanging out with Boomerang and stuff like that. But anyway, in the comics, like probably the biggest thing he pulls off is still quite early on, maybe the second appearance, I'm not sure.
Oh wow.
But the biggest thing he pulls off was he blacks out like half of New York.
Oh shit.
In a way, he blacks out certain grids just to spell his name across New York with lights. Just Shocker, not Herman, just Shocker. And he does that, and then just like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck over your electricity unless you give me $1 million.
Fair enough.
And then he stopped. But that's like the biggest thing he did. But he ends up getting downgraded. And there's definitely, I can't remember what issue it is, but there's a certain point where Spider-Man stops taking him seriously. Yeah, and it kind of all goes down there from there. And yeah,
does he have reference like tearing limb from limb or?
No, I think I don't think that makes it in. No, unfortunately.
You didn't get that pissed off at Shocker.
No,
for good reason. But no, fuck, there's a Shocker for you.
The other thing I'd say, and this isn't really relevant to anything, but have you ever heard of, Spider-Man 2099?
Yeah.
Which is, most people might have known it from being the post-credit scene in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
The idea it's kind of, I guess it's kind of a rip-off of that Batman one.
Batman Beyond?
Batman Beyond, yeah. I'm not sure which one came first actually, but
they're about the same time.
Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure. Either way, it's the same premise as that, as in it's sci-fi future, but there's a new Spider-Man. Although in this, it's 2099, so Peter Parker's long gone.
He's like a legend now.
Yeah, he's a legend now, and he's taking over the mantle with a very different costume and different but kind of similar powers and whole different foes and that, and it's just in a sci-fi world, and he's been in a bunch of the games and stuff like that.
Alright.
And anyway, the reason I bring that up is that one of the running things in the 2099 comics, which also had their own versions of other things, like there's a Punisher 2099, there's a Doctor Doom 2099, there's a Venom 2099, there's all these different versions of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's no Shocker 2099.
Shockingly.
Yeah, but why? And I think the reason why is not because they thought Shocker was too bad for this, but because the word shock in the future is a swear word. So like he's constantly, it's a gag that they pull where they're like, oh, for shock's sake, and oh, you shocker, and like that kind of thing. So if Herman Schultz was to go in a time machine and wake up in 2099, he's like, I'm gonna rob banks, everyone fear the Shocker, and would be like, what?
Yeah.
This guy's calling himself the fucker?
To be fair though, if he made his creations into vibrators, he would call the fucker in 2019 even.
Yeah, they should do a Shocker 2099, and he's just like, I don't know, he just owns Playboy.
Yeah.
It's just
basically like a porn parody of Shocker, pretty much.
Yeah, why not?
No. I feel like any character that needs a porn parody is Dr. Octopus, but
we don't need that.
We do not need that.
It's too expensive anyway.
Yeah.
How do you even make that?
Don't
answer that question.
Just ruin all my ideas. It's fine.
I'm gonna stop you there.
Good instincts. Good instincts.
So we've also got Shocker. I always forget this actually, but we got Shocker in Homecoming, haven't we?
Yeah, we have two Shockers even. One of them dies.
Yeah, you get the first one. He gets like fucking disintegrated. Then you got the one that's played by Bokeem Woodbine, who that guy's he's really fucking good in Fargo season 2. Which is a great series anyway, but he's really good in that. I think he's pretty good as Shocker. He's just not given much to do.
No.
He's pretty intimidating, and he's also, I know, I want more of him actually, which is not something I'd kind of really expect to say.
Yeah. Like, he's pretty much there to, like, just be, like, the Vulture's, like, extra muscle.
Yeah, and I guess he is kind of taken out pretty easy because he's taken out by fucking Ned, isn't he?
Effectively.
Like,
the first time he kind of gets, like, webbed up immediately and Spider-Man, like, makes fun of him. And the second time, like...
When's that?
On the barge.
Oh, okay.
So he says, like, oh, I thought you were better with that. I'm honestly shocked. And he's, like, tired off me, like, fuck you, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then, like, the second time, like, he pretty much comes at Spider-Man when he's not expecting him. He hasn't got, like, his webbing, so he can't do anything.
And those ones, I always forget this as well. Those gauntlets they make are meant to be, like, altered versions of Crossbone's gauntlets from Civil War.
Okay.
As well. I guess maybe they added, like, some Chitauri technology to them or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you ever saw this, but there were set photos that leaked from set of Homecoming before it came out of Shocker.
Yeah.
And they showed him in costume.
Oh, shit.
And I remember seeing that and being like, oh shit, Shocker's going to be in this. That's awesome. And they did the yellow and brown thing.
Yeah.
But they did their version of it, which was not all the way full suit. I'll find a photo of this because if you haven't seen it.
No, I don't think I have, no. Oh, that's really cool, actually.
You can see how it kind of makes sense because they just... I mean, it's effectively the same. It's just he's wearing the gauntlets and...
like a helmet instead of like a weird...
Yeah, and he's got goggles and it all looks like... I don't know, it looks like it's padded clothes that are also stitched together from random, almost dirty clothes.
Yeah, it looks like a dirty, like, Deathstroke almost.
Yeah, I mean, he looks like he could have... Just be, like that actual like Vulture's goons would have been like grabbing random stuff to put together to make something to steal shit.
Yeah,
you know, so it works pretty well. I mean, I don't really know what became of these because I remember this going around, and I don't know if they were later claimed to be fake or something.
Ah, shit.
I don't know, but they looked really good, and I don't know why they look too elaborate to be faked. And if they were faked, I don't really know what the point would be.
No.
Yeah, I've seen some people claiming that it was from a fan film.
Oh, right.
But I've just like looked at this Reddit thread who said it was that it was from a fan film, but then I've looked at this fan film and it doesn't look the same to me. It looks kind of similar, so I see why people would think it's the same, but it looks like a different design.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of effort to go through.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be surprising for one of these MCU movies to include a scene, delete it, and then no one sees it, because there's quite a lot that happens quite a lot, and there's been no director's cut, but there have been a lot of people saying about certain scenes being cut and left on the cutting room floor, and the DVDs only tend to have like a couple of deleted scenes. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe they did like some photography with it or something, or test footage with it, and then decided not to go with it.
Like, I feel like that bit where Shocker shows up the second time is cut weirdly anyway.
Yeah.
But I feel like this bit cuts out of that for sure.
Maybe, yeah. I would like more of that. I wouldn't.
Sure.
Maybe when he shows up again, he'll have more of a costume.
I hope so.
Like he needed to upgrade or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird to want more Shocker, but I want more Shocker.
Yeah.
If you think that's a surprise, then you're in for a real shock, and I'm gonna tear you limb from limb!
Going into the alien costume again, we went over some of this last week. So if you want like how Spider-Man got the black costume and stuff, and how we first started noticing a difference with it, you know, you can go back to last episode 8. But in this one, in the Amazing Spider-Man 258, I might be going over some of the stuff I've been over before, but this is the one where the cover is the two costumes fighting over him.
Oh, nice.
Which then happens in the dream sequence as well. This is the same issue in which Mary Jane ends up revealing that she has known his secret identity for like years and just didn't tell him.
Just humouring him.
Yeah, which is actually really cool. Really, I really like that. But he's trying to explain himself to Mary Jane, which is such a great Peter Parker moment as a shock, especially after 258 issues of her supposedly not knowing. She like storms out like, "Yeah, I know you're Spider-Man." He's like, "What? No, I'm not." And then Black Cat enters through his window like, "Hey Spidey, let's do some shit." And she's like, "Okay," and just like leaves, and he's like, "Motherfucker,
you could have come like later. You couldn't knock."
Yeah, and later that issue, he ends up falling asleep. The black suit covers him, and he goes out at night asleep, but in, you know, the costume's controlling him. He wakes up after having that sort of dream. It's very close to the show in that way. And that's when he starts realizing, like, he noticed little things like the costume, like, hung up would, like, start moving by itself.
Okay.
And he starts thinking, this is pretty creepy. So he goes to the Fantastic Four. He goes to the Baxter building.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on with the suit? I got this on that weird alien planet. It's starting acting creepy. Now I can't take it off, and it's starting to cling to me a bit. Reed studies it rather than Doc Connors, and he reveals that it's a symbiote that's attached itself to him physically and mentally, and it's like scared of losing its host, so it's like clinging onto him and he can't get off, and he starts like hopping around the room trying to pull it off and can't. But then eventually he just like whips out a sonic blaster, like this massive purple gun, and shoots him until it comes off.
Oh wow.
And then they trap it in this sort of container, leaving Peter without a costume. And that's when we get Peter left without a costume, and at this point, like, none of the Fantastic Four know his identity, so he's kind of hiding his face. And he's like, I need to get home, I need to get out of here, you gotta give me a costume.
Yeah.
And of course, Johnny Storm's there, the Human Torch is there, and he lives to fuck with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which means he gives him a spare Fantastic Four costume.
Oh.
And a bag with 2 eye holes that he puts on his head.
The Amazing Bagman.
Yeah, and then he announces, there you go, here is the Amazing Bagman.
Yeah.
And it's just, Peter's so sad, his head hanging his head while he's wearing this stupid bag over his head. And then I think he swings off and he has to like stop a crime, and everyone's like, who the fuck was that? I think the bag falls off at one point, and he has to grab another bag and put it on his head. It's pretty embarrassing.
Oh, classic Peter Parker.
Meanwhile, the symbiote is still locked away, but it's like plotting its escape.
Okay.
And this issue was in 1984. Then a few months later, in 1985, we get this new launch series called The Web of Spider-Man. So yeah, another one of these series. In this issue, the symbiote sort of breaks out, or sneaked out of the container it was in, and it's hidden itself in one of his in his red and blue costume. So he puts on his red and blue costume, and then the symbiote takes him over again.
Oh shit.
So he ends up going out, and he's like trying to get to the Baxter building, but the suit is trying to control his body, so he'll try and swing one way and it'll make him go the other way.
Yeah.
He's like fighting with himself on the rooftops, and that's when he happens to be attacked by a group called the Vulturians, who they're basically just a regular criminal gang, but they've stolen the tech of the Vulture. So it's a gang of people who can fly and they've got wings. And they start attacking him, and it's this weird fight because he's fighting them, and could take them on as Spider-Man, but he's extra powerful as symbiote Spider-Man. But then also he's fighting with the suit, and he doesn't really want to fight them. So it's this weird fight where they're like, "What the fuck is Spider-Man doing?" Like, he take one of them down, but then the next minute he's like flailing around,
doing his own little victory dance, which is really bad.
Yeah, and he takes them all down. The last one he takes down, and they land on a bell tower, and that's when the bell tower like sound starts going off, and the last Vulturian just like legs it, and the sound starts hurting the suit, and it kind of in this the sound of the bell is like, even to just a human, is so loud it's like deafening, and he's like in physical pain. It's actually the symbiote kind of pulls him to safety, because he kind of, before he can actually like, I don't know, be deafened or something, whatever a bell would do.
Sure.
And it carries him to safety, but when he comes to, there's no suit there, and he just thinks that it is like being completely destroyed. And that's in that was in 1985. And then when we actually get Venom, and the next time we see the symbiote or anything, will be in The Amazing Spider-Man 299, which is at the end of the issue 299, which is in 1988. So there's a few years gap of just presuming that that's the end of that saga. Yeah. And then that's when we get Venom, which I think we'll go into this next week.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that these are like sort of, a lot of these are spread over different series as well.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting to point out that there's so many issues in between. Like, when Spider-Man has that symbiote suit, he doesn't like get it and then immediately start acting like a maniac and then has to get rid of it. He has it, and he's just doing regular Spider-Man stuff, taking on certain bad guys, and then later starts to notice that something's up with it.
Okay.
So there's nothing in there about him like being extra aggressive or like going too far with bad guys or anything. It's just making his life better.
Oh shit. So therefore it has to be ruining his life subtly without him realising.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that's like the readers who were like, no, this is too easy for him to have all these magic powers to be able to transform into anyone, or you know, turn into his, not have to like change in an alley and all that stuff that's kind of, I guess, integral to Spider-Man.
So it's kind of part of the character, yeah.
There's actually a really cool, one of my favourite things that the Spectacular Spider-Man series did is there's this really cool fight where I think he's taking on the entire Sinister Six.
Yeah.
and he fights them, and he just makes no jokes the entire fight. You think that it's just because he's getting extra serious and he's sick of their shit, and he takes them down. He just seems really powerful with this new costume. He takes them all down, and then it's revealed afterwards that he was just asleep that entire time, and it was just the costume doing it for him. And that's how they kind of realise. I think he wakes up the next day and he's like, oh, Sinister Six defeated by Spider-Man, and he's like, what the fuck?
I wasn't there.
Yeah, so
that's the end of the comic book origin. And yeah, that pretty much sums us all up, I think, right? Unless we have anything to add.
no, I don't think so.
Shit, like that's the end of this episode, guys. Wow, this is weird. I wasn't expecting this. Well, it had to end sometime, didn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this to end.
No,
But this was a 100-hour live stream.
Yeah, I mean that'd be great. Like doing 100 hours of just Spider-Man podcast, just one episode. Plenty of bullshit around.
We could probably do that. Like,
Yeah.
like to raise money for charity. These two guys talked about the Shocker for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, we'll rush immediately to hospital because
Yeah, I guess we would just start. By the end of it, we would have developed our own vibro blasters and sold them on the market.
yeah, get really successful on Tinder. We'll kind of we'll brainstorm it. Well, I will.
Yeah, I'm not too bothered about pimping your Tinder game.
I mean, like, if it would help if you were a little bit interested, but that's okay.
My friends call me the Shocker.
Yeah.
And you can call me the fucker. Maybe we can. This podcast is listed as explicit.
Oh no.
I mean, it has to be because we swear.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because we swear in it
All the time.
And apparently today we're talking about vibrators for some reason.
Superpowered vibrators.
God,
Yeah.
I hope there's no kids listening. Actually, no. I hope you are. You will.
Yeah. You gotta
Actually-
learn sometime.
Actually, you're saying that. I don't think this is very good learning exercise.
No. Do not learn about like sex through this. This is bad sex ed.
Yeah. Anyway, we could change our explicit rating if we stop swearing, but we just start using the 2099 slang
Yeah.
and start saying like "shock
Shocking,
you,"
yeah.
"this is shocking, ridiculous,"
Yes.
for
Mother
shock's sake.
Mothershocker.
Yeah. Mothershocker. That's incredible. What else is that?
Go shock yourself. That's shocking great. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna like incorporate that more into my like swearing vocabulary. Anyway, Mothershockers, that's the end of the episode. Please subscribe to us on iTunes and always anywhere you can find podcasts, really. Follow us on Twitter. We have a Twitter page, as you hopefully know by now. And yeah, like otherwise, like just keep in contact with everything we're doing. We're doing a lot of things. We've got a MCU countdown we did, which took us a long time. So we'd love.
Oh yeah. Now that's done as well. It's like
Yeah.
I feel like I purged it. So maybe we won't talk about the MCU too much. I mean, we already did it in this episode
Yeah.
already, and then we'll probably be talking about Far From Home not too long from now.
Like
what's
2
that,
months from now.
Yeah, something like that.
Shit, yeah.
Hey, you meant to say shock?
Oh, shock.
Actually, no. We can keep shit.
Shit.
We
Because
can
like,
keep shit.
it's only really the F-bombs which are like, well,
Yeah,
shock.
it's like MCU movies. They got people say shit in them,
Yeah.
but then they don't say fuck.
No.
You wouldn't hear Iron Man go fuck.
Ugh, fuck you, Thanos.
But you'd hear him say if he got hit by something, oh shit,
yeah.
and then people laugh because he said shit.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna say fuck.
Yeah, like in Endgame where he's going like, motherfucker, and his daughter's like behind him going, motherfucker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that line. Yeah, maybe his final line should have been like before he snaps his fingers, he just goes, "I'm Iron Man, you fucker,
You fuck.
fuck you."
Fuck you, Thanos.
Yeah, that incredibly long pause he does where he goes, "Yeah, and I'm." Fuck you. Yeah, you can't think of anything. Yeah.
Fuck you.
That's what like Star-Lord would have been like. Fuck you fucking dickhead.
Yeah. Oh, fuck you, Thanos. Bitch. And that's how like the movie ends. That's how Thanos dies.
Captain America would be like, "You're not very nice." Snap his fingers.
I'm very disappointed in your conduct today.
Yeah. I rank you a 4 out of 10.
I was gonna say 3, but your costume is really good.
Yeah.
And you were very not dirty with your fighting.
Yeah, you got a good self-image going on.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I wouldn't rock that weird chin shit you got going on.
No, that requires medical attention right away.
Sorry, I don't want to chin shame you.
Thanos is probably very
I'd watch
sensitive.
I'd much rather them not do the Falcon and Winter Soldier series and instead do Steve Rogers tries to be woke. You know? Like in 2019, him just like the whole time being like this guy who looks in his 20s or 30s. but he's just really struggling to keep up with it. But he's trying really hard.
Yeah.
And then he can't remember the pronouns, and
Yeah.
he can't do everything
no.
right. But
so
God
awkward.
bless him. He's trying. He's trying.
He's really trying.
And no one can get that mad at him because he had to catch up with like 70 years worth
Yeah.
of.
He missed the whole of civil rights.
Yeah.
So the first time he meets like Falcon, he's like, "Oh shit!" And then he's like, "Oh, well, we're cool now. This is okay."
Yeah, and he has to go back to Peggy and be like, and she'd be like, "You gave who the shield?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Things are different in the future."
Yeah, we can give anyone the shield. Yeah.
I have a black best friend in the future.
Apparently, they had this whole thing which I just completely missed. Do you think Peggy's racist?
She's got to be a little bit racist.
Yeah.
She's got to be racist in the same way your grandma's racist.
And like a
Well,
time-
not your grandma, my grandma.
Yeah. My grandma could be racist. You don't know that. Don't assume my grandma's not racist.
I mean, she's not as racist as my grandma. I'll tell you that.
It's like that thing on the playground. And we're like, my dad could beat up your dad, but it's like racist grandmas. My grandma's way more racist than your grandma.
I don't know. I bet if you're getting like grandma top trumps out, then white grandma beats black grandma.
Her racism's like a 10.
Yeah. I don't know, what would black grandma win on?
I don't know, I don't know, maybe cooking, maybe like discipline, honestly.
Yeah, it's not much cooking discipline. It could be two racism. 0 versus. Well, no, I guess you could have some points because your grandma would, I don't know, hate a race.
Yeah,
but
she'd be racist to some race.
Yeah, but then my grandma, she'll get all the races out.
Yeah.
Sorry, grandma. I know she's listening to this.
She's unsubscribed.
Number one fan.
Yeah, she's unsubscribed right now.
Yeah.
That's like half of our viewership gone right there.
Well, that's what you get for being racist, grandma. Don't want your shit. Don't want you on our viewership. Shock off.
She's been blacklisted from. We're not as allowed to our 90s Spider-Man show parties anymore.
She was going to be the guest star next week. I'm just gonna, I don't want to support this anymore, grandma.
Yeah, we're not endorsing this anymore.
Yeah.
She's been cancelled.
Yeah. My grandma's been cancelled. That's cancel culture for you.
Yeah.
It's coming for all of us.
Yeah, no one's safe. Your grandmother's.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was between the Twitter account. She shouldn't have had that. Roseanne Barr is standing behind her. And it's just this whole big thing.
Yeah. My grandma got fired by NBC.
A sitcom got cancelled.
Yeah.
Grandma in the house.
Wait, in the house.
In the house, obviously.
Yeah. She didn't approve of that. She said it was too black.
Yeah, it was too urban. Was what she said.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Come on,
just give us something here."
No one has time for 3 letters. Yeah. It's got to be duh.
Duh.
Some people can't say THs.
No.
Including your grandson.
Yeah. But I feel like it's now less of a coincidence than I thought.
Anyway, I don't know how we transition this back into the ending because I mean we already finished. Technically, this is
post-credit scene.
Yeah,
right?
this is epilogue.
Yeah, it's just extra for you guys.
I think you know what, let's just cut it. I'll be like, for all you people out there who haven't subscribed, for all you people who haven't followed us on Twitter, who haven't emailed us, haven't looked at the description, haven't looked at the link to the blog where I painstakingly put all these comic book panels up there to explain all the shit we're talking about, to all the people who haven't rated and reviewed us on iTunes, giving us positive reviews, found us on Spotify, on Stitcher, on iTunes, all this shit.
SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud. Shock you. Mothershockers.
In all seriousness, that's the end of episode 9 of That 90s Spider-Man Show. And today we've learned, if you don't subscribe to our podcast, we'll tear you limb from limb and follow you to the ends of the earth.
Alright.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go about your lives.